For the Southern California Prep Insider, I'm Keith Mulder here for another edition of the LA City Section Lacrosse Podcast, presented to you by the United States Marine Corps. We are out here in sunny San Diego, folks, for the final edition of the LA City Section Lacrosse Podcast. I know it brings me great sadness to be talking to you guys for the final time this year, talking about lacrosse, but there's always next year, folks, and that's when it will be exciting for sure. Don't have the mic, but we're out here. We're sorry for some audio interference. It's very blustery out here in beautiful sunny San Diego. So we're going to talk some LA lacrosse. The champions of the boys section, Palisades. The champions of the girls section, Birmingham. Great performances from them all playoffs long. We'll have those highlights as well as some interviews from that game in a couple of seconds. But first, let's take this time to recognize all the other players that didn't win a ring but had great performances this year. In this podcast, we'll talk about some Players of the Year candidates, the All-SCPI team. We'll also be talking about the top 9 and the top 8 for boys and girls. So with that said, let's get into the SCPI Boys Lacrosse final top 9 as well as the Players of the Year. So for the boys, the number 1 team, it's got to be Palisades, folks. They won the ring. They did it all. They were the number 1 team all year long. Nobody could challenge them in the city section, so they get the number 1 spot. Then it's Hamilton, Birmingham, Voss, El Camino Real, North Valley Military Institute, Hollywood, Westchester, and then Jordan to round it out. Congrats to all the teams in the city section. I know you guys, there's a lot of new programs out there, but you guys are really impressed this year. Looking into this playoffs, Palisades with a 21-3 win in that final game over Hamilton. Basically, at the start, folks, it was really close, interestingly enough. It was, I believe, a 5-3 game at the end of the first quarter. Palisades was up over Hamilton. Hamilton, indeed, making it interesting, at least to start off the game, and then Palisades just totally rolled through them. Then it was just all Palisades from there. Macchio Rizzone with just some fantastic goals. Really nothing that the Hamilton defense could really do against Palisades. And ultimately, Palisades with a 21-3 just romped in that championship game. Really showing that they're the number 1 team in the city section 3 straight years running now. So it's no wonder why Palisades gets a number 1 ranking in the top 9 poll to end the season. But really throughout the year, and then especially in that championship, they showed that they are the number 1 team. So with that said, there was some postseason action. Obviously, Palisades won the ring, but then they go on to the Southern Section tournament. And they unfortunately lost to Chaminade 12-6. In that one, Chaminade, a very good team out there in that Valley League. So unfortunately, Palisades couldn't get any farther in the state playoffs and Southern Section playoffs, but they did win a city ring, and that is always something to look back on. With that said, let's now get into our SCPI Boys Player of the Year and all SCPI teams. The Player of the Year, we mentioned him earlier, Macchio Rizzone. You were the Player of the Year, the all SCPI Boys Lacrosse Player of the Year. And he just had a fantastic season, folks. Much like Zella Bedoyan of Birmingham, he was just scoring left, right, and center. Palisades, the cream of the crop in the city section, because of guys like Rizzone, who can just score on a whim, it seemed. It was really unfair, not just in the fact of how many times he scored, because we saw him hat-trick after hat-trick after hat-trick, but it's the manner in which he does score. It seems that every single time he touches the ball, he is a threat to take it in the back of the net. And I was surprised he didn't do one between the legs, at one point, because he can wield a stick like no other. It's no wonder why he's going to Ohio Wesleyan to play his college career out there in D3 of the NCAA. So Rizzone, he's a vital part of that team. He's a senior, so he's going to be graduating. But that said, I think that Palisades, they ultimately win the championship with or without Rizzone, but I think that with him, they win that much in the scores of these games, folks. They were just, double-digit blowouts, all because of Macchio Rizzone. So you get the game ball of the year from me. So congrats to you, the Boys Lacrosse Player of the Year. Now let's get into the first team all SCPI. The first guy I'd like to mention is Garrett Kim from El Camino Real. Along with ranking first in the section with goals with 53, Kim was also a vital part of that movement to bring lacrosse to El Camino Real. And now it's a full-fledged boys and girls program out there at ECR. So you get a spot on the All-SCPI team for not just your unbelievable goal scoring ability, but also for your ability to bring lacrosse to El Camino. Then Jacob Marcus, Hamilton's top scorer. The trip to the CIF title game would not have been possible without Marcus. scored 26 on the year, but also assisted on 8 other goals, leading that Yankees offense in both of those categories. In that semifinal game against Birmingham, he was huge with the Yankees, so Jacob Marcus, you get a spot on there. Him as well as Sam Seidel get spots on the list because of their goal scoring ability. Marcus is a senior, but Seidel is just a junior, so he'll be playing another year for the program and will certainly lead this Hamilton team. Maybe do another championship appearance. We'll see next year. Also got to give a shout out to Noah Pineda for Hamilton, who scored plentifully this year. So those 3 guys, although Pineda, you don't get a spot on the All-SCPI team, Seidel and Marcus, you do. That said, another guy we'd like to shout out from Palisades is Milo Sherman. This kid, he gets on the list because of his ability, not just to score, because he can do that for sure, he can play offense, but every single time it came to draw controls, he was winning them left and right. One of the best draw control players in the section by far. It seemed that him, whenever he won that face-off, that Palisades would just get on a run. He would get on a run, just draw control after draw control after draw control. So you get a spot on the All-SCPI team list because draw controls, they're really an underrated part of the lacrosse game. A lot of people look at the scores, they look at the ability to put in the back of the net, but truly, your ability to win draw controls is what gets you on this list. As well, him as well as the freshman, Ethan Rubin, you get a spot on the SCPI list too because not only was he able to score a couple goals, but he tied Macchio Rizzone with 15 assists this year. So Rizzone, got to give him credit for putting in the back of the net, but Rubin really set him up well. The final spot for the All-SCPI boys list is Jeremiah Adams Cuevas from ECR. Along with Kim, he was a huge goal scorer for the Conquistadors. 26 on the year for Adams Cuevas, including 6 hat tricks. So unfortunately, ECR didn't get into the playoffs, but it's their first year, and Adams Cuevas was a huge reason for that. He'll be graduating because he is a senior, and I'm sure that Kim will miss him, but Adams Cuevas, he had a great year this year. You get a spot on the All-SCPI team. So we mentioned the top 9, we mentioned the All-SCPI boys team, the player of the year, Macchio Rizzone. Let's talk firstly about the coach. Kevin Donovan, another ring to his collection. I talked with him after the 21-3 victory over Hamilton. Let's take a look at that interview.
Kevin Donovan, head coach at Pacific Palisades Charter High School.
So you guys just won the championship. How does it feel?
Feels good. We play in the City League, and we battle against the teams all year, and we have a pretty good team. And I think overall, just proud for our guys, kind of play tough, compete all season. So I'm happy for them.
At the first start of it, it seemed like Hamilton had a little bit of an edge. It was very close, but then you guys pulled it out. The first half, what were your thoughts?
We started a little slow. There's some calls going the other way. They had a lot of possession, so if we don't touch the ball, we can't score. I give Hamilton a lot of credit. They battle hard every time against us. Regardless of talent or number of players, both teams battle hard, and I respect the coach a lot. And I'm just happy the guys kind of stepped it up in the second quarter. We just didn't look back. So.
You guys had a great second quarter. You go into halftime with a double-digit goal lead. What was the feeling like having that offense thriving?
It was good. I told them before the game just to share the ball, share the rock. I said, let's play together. Our best offense is when we move the ball versus a one-man show. So they listen, and the result speaks for itself. So.
How proud are you of this team?
They're a good team. We have a lot of different, a pretty even amount of kids in each class. So kind of coming together. We have some, good leadership with our seniors, and I'm just happy for them to send them off for the championship. And we're looking forward to the playoffs. The southern section after this. So.
We know that you've been here before, but how does this one feel?
Feels good. It's my third one in 3 years as coach, and each year's different with a different group of kids. And I'm proud of the guys how they they didn't relax. They kept playing. It's easy just to give up and just kind of play nonchalant. But we have a bigger goal besides just winning a city championship. We want to move past the first round and hopefully in the Final Four for CIF. So. Yeah, moving on to the southern section schools. You got some big tests coming up. Yep. What do you have to say about some of those southern section schools? We've already played them a bunch, and we've had some close games. Westlake was 9-9 at halftime, but they ended up blowing us out. Holton Park, we just recently played, lost by 2. Bora, it was 11-7 at one point. They won 16-8, I believe. But overall, I think just making adjustments and knowing what we're going against, because being a young team and not playing those talented teams, you got to learn. And I think we're trending upwards. We're ready to compete against whoever and make the right adjustments.
What's your expectations for this team coming in the playoffs?
my expectations are high. We have the talent. We don't necessarily have the numbers, but that's up to me to figure out the strategy in that area. So I'm going with the thumb at myself, and I think if we execute the right game plan, then we can beat anybody. So.
Is there anything else you like to add?
No, I'm just super excited. Looking forward to see how this team comes together after this. Looking forward to the playoffs. And, coaching out here in LA is just great for the Lax community, and just building that, and I'm proud to be a part of it. The coaches give a lot of effort into it, and they just want to help the kids out, so I'm proud of that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Coach. Congratulations.
Yeah, appreciate it.
So now we transition from the boys' side to the girls' side. Palisades, the dominator in the boys' section, but now let's talk about the girls' section, where it was a much different ball game for the Palisades Dolphins. In fact, it was an unfortunate defeat at the hands of the Birmingham Patriots, who won that game 10-6. The championship, they get another ring. That is 5 straight titles for the Birmingham Patriots in the city section. Palisades, interestingly enough, was the #1 team all season long. And then we saw a late season win for Birmingham, which in my picks last week, I picked them with the section title, and they showed it on last Saturday. So getting now into the final 8, the final rankings of the year for girls lacrosse. Birmingham, of course, gets that #1 seed. Then Palisades, and then on my 3 seed, I don't put Hamilton, I actually put El Camino Real for their ability to try and come back late in that game against Palisades. Really give them a lot of credit. I know, ECR has a soft space in my heart. A lot of really great gals out there at ECR. But I gave them the 3 spot because of their ability to come back. We've seen them play Palisades tough a lot this year, and Palisades is a championship caliber squad, and I didn't really see that from Hamilton against Birmingham. It was a 15-2 loss for Hamilton to Birmingham. So I think that the way that ECR competed in the semis, as well as this regular season, I give them the #3 spot. Hamilton, though, very close behind at 4. Then it's at 5, Voss, Valley Academy of Arts and Sciences, for those who don't know. Then 6, it's NVMI, and then Hollywood and Westchester, 7 and 8 spots. Palisades with that 11-5 win in the semifinal over ECR, and then unfortunately losing 10-6 Birmingham with a huge win in the final at home, interestingly enough. So it was kind of a raucous environment to begin there, because Palisades has it the year before, and then they switch. It goes back and forth between Palisades and Birmingham. So Birmingham in the championship, they had the home field advantage, and they took it 10-6. In the Southern Section tournament, both teams, interestingly enough, got spots, but unfortunately both teams also lost. Westlake with a 14-2 win over Palisades, and then West Ranch with a 13-12 win over Birmingham. A 1-point, 1-goal game right there. So Birmingham, that could have gone either way. They lost earlier, interestingly enough, to West Ranch last week. So it's unfortunately the end of the season for the Patriots, but they got a city ring, much like Palisades. It's hard to really take any positives away from the loss, but you got a city ring, so congrats to you guys. Now let's get into some player analysis, folks. It's your favorite time of the podcast. The SCPI Girls Lacrosse Player of the Year. Who else but Zella Bedoyan from Birmingham? Ended the year with 93 goals. Unbelievable performance from her. She also gets the nod, having the first 3 goals in Birmingham's game in that CIF championship. 14 assists on the year, too. Just an all-out offensive threat, really. And by the way, she's only a junior, so 93 goals as a junior, not even counting playoffs either. Expect her collegiate offers to come in by the truckload. Game in and game out, folks. She was the best scorer, best player in the section by far. It seemed that on every single possession, she was the one to look out for. So Zella Bedoyan, the player of the year in the city section, at least from us here at the SCPI. Now talking about the first team All-SCPI, the first player that we got to mention, McKenna Carter from Hamilton. 52 goals for her. She was leading the section at one point, actually, but led a very good Hamilton team. Early on was one of the best goal scorers, so McKenna Carter, nice job from you. Then Crystal Lopez, interestingly enough, another player from Birmingham. 54 goals on the year. Her and Bedoyan kind of combined for majority of Birmingham's goals there in that championship. She unfortunately graduates this year, but she certainly left a lasting impact on another CIF championship winning team, and I'm sure she's going to do great things at the next level. Whether she plays lacrosse in college or not, she's had a great high school career, no doubt. Then the girl from the first year program, ECR, Amelia Weckhurst. We mentioned you on the podcast, gave you a game ball, but now you get a spot on the All-SCPI team. Along with being a first-year player in a first-year program, she scored 39 goals, good for 4th in the section. She was outstanding for that El Camino squad. Amelia Weckhurst, you get a spot. And then we also have a couple more players to shout out, one being Diana Sanchez from the rarely mentioned Voss Academy of Arts and Sciences, of course. They proved that they could compete with the big schools. We saw that, it seemed like Palisades and Birmingham and ECR were the top teams, Hamilton. But Voss, they gave Palisades a little run for their money. They're a little years off from being really a top program in the section. But Diana Sanchez, she was a reason why Voss was even in it at all. She had 18 goals on the year, good for 8th best in the section. But she gets a spot on this list because she was the MVP of that Voss squad. A squad also with a lot of supporting cast members, but she was really the leader. So Diana Sanchez, great job this year. And then Palisades, we had to pick somebody. But we couldn't just pick one. We had to pick them both. The Stahl sisters, Allie and Sammy Stahl, the midfielders. It was impossible to pick between you both, so we just picked both of you guys. The Triple S connection, as we mentioned, they were firing on all cylinders against Birmingham in that championship game. There was no doubt that this year they wouldn't have gone as far as they did without the Stahl sisters, their ability to transition from defense to offense. So both of you guys, you get a spot on the All-SCPI team from me. And unfortunately, you may have lost the championship, but I'm sure next year, with just the way that Palisades competed, they'll be back for another title contention. So we talked about the final 8 of this regular season. We talked about the All-SCPI first team as well as the Player of the Year, Zella Bedoyan. Let's talk about her coach, Scott Silva from Birmingham, his 5th CIF title this year. I talked with him after the game, a 10-6 win for Birmingham. Let's look at the interview. Let's see what he has to say about a big win, another win for the Patriots.
Scott Silva from Birmingham Community Charter High School, 5-time city champions.
So obviously got a huge win today against Palisades, a team that you guys have lost to this year, but then you come back and get a 10-6 win. How does it feel to be champions?
Oh, the girls work so hard. This is just another icing on the cake for the girls. Just for them to come back and end the season in this way is just it's fantastic. They work so hard on and off the field. It's a great opportunity for them to come out and just showcase how great their lacrosse skills are.
So you guys come out, scored 9 goals in the first half. What type of confidence did that give you in your team?
Oh, when you're up that much, it's just it's a fantastic feeling overall. That it takes a lot of load off your shoulders, a lot of the pressure that you've kind of built up to start the game with. But knowing Palisades, they don't give up. They don't stop fighting. So even though it's we scored 9 goals in the first half, we know that it's against them. It's never enough.
Yeah, they started to come back there in the second half. They scored a couple unanswered. What was the feeling in your mind going into that? Do you feel confident that you're still going to win?
Yeah, I felt confident. There's, like I said, we've got a great group of girls. Our core 3, Destiny Ocon, Grisel Lopez, Zella Bedoyan, they know how to play and they know how to work very well together. So yeah, the confidence was there on my part, going to them. So I had no real fear.
Now you guys have 5 straight city championships. Yeah. How does it feel now to have sort of a dynasty in LA lacrosse?
It's an awesome feeling. Like I said, it's all on the girls. The girls have worked so hard to put themselves in this position. It's started off back when we didn't even have a city championship to go for. The girls still worked hard, and they knew that there was something to play for in the end. And just to have this as an award for them to put on their trophy case at the end of the year, it's awesome. The dynasties are built on small little things, and they just continue to build on from there.
So obviously you got the championship now. What's in the future for you guys? Looking forward, maybe state playoffs, that sort of thing.
Well, the state playoffs won't happen for a little while until CIF officially gets involved, and we're waiting on that. We do have what we call the Southern Section Tournament coming up, so the seeding meeting is tomorrow on Sunday morning, and then we'll play our first round game on Tuesday of next week. So we look forward to seeing who we're going to play against, and to continue the season for at least another 3 or 4 games.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I'm just so proud of these girls. They work really hard to make this kind of thing happen. To lose such a good core of seniors has been one of those things that we really want to make sure that the underclassmen see what they should be playing up to. So yeah, it's emotional overall, and you know, I'm really proud of these girls.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Coach.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
And we thank head coach Silva for his time, taking his time out of plenty of celebrations for that interview. We also thank head coach Kevin Donovan for that interview after the game. And just want to say thank you to all of you fans out there for watching the SCPI Boys and Girls Lacrosse podcast. Coming into this year, I didn't have many expectations, really. Not saying I had low expectations, but I just didn't have really any expectations for LA City Lacrosse. It's a sport that I've been somewhat involved with, being here from San Diego. Lacrosse became one of the top teams in San Diego. But I wasn't exactly sure what to expect from LA City Lacrosse, because there's a couple new programs, a lot of new faces. But that said, it was a pleasure to cover the game, pleasure to cover the championships, the semifinals, a lot of great play as well. Feature coming out about El Camino Real coming soon, and just how they've really come through a lot of adversity being a first-year program. So truly, I just want to say thank you to all the coaches out there, thank you to all the players for giving me your time and being able to have the honor to cover you guys, because there's a lot of talent out there, especially on that girls side, folks. Make sure, if you haven't already, go out to a lacrosse game. Go watch some lacrosse, because it is a fun game, and I'm sure that come next year, when there's maybe some more teams, maybe some teams that don't have to forfeit due to a lack of players, that there'll be much more competition, a lot more fun. But with that said, it's going to bring us to the final and the end of the LA City Lacrosse podcast, at least for this season, folks. Next season, we'll be back and we'll have all the coverage we can about all things LA City Lacrosse. And as always, for the Southern California Prep Insider, I'm Keith Mulder, saying thank you so much for watching, and have a great summer, folks. Take it easy. We'll see you next year.